Hey guys, I'm Nick and welcome back to the channel. Well, today we're talking about the final episode of Star Trek Lower Decks, episode 10 of season 3, entitled The Stars at Night. Pretty exciting episode we had for this last one of the season. We had a resolution to the mystery that's been going on for quite some time about Rutherford, his implant, where he got it from, who was responsible, and all that side of things. We got a pretty big action sequence and, a big battle sequence between the Cerritos, the California class versus the Texas class automated drone ships. Pretty exciting stuff there. And I think it was a really good story. I think it was a good, exciting adventure to take us on for the final episode of the season. And today we'll be talking all about it. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to Sci-Finatics yet, please don't be scared to do so. Click on that big red button to stay current and up to date with all the latest Star Trek news on YouTube. Okay, so this episode, we kind of started with the big Federation space dock there, Starfleet Command with Freeman talking to the big heads of state at Starfleet about what's happening there between the California class and their mission as the second contact vessels and Admiral Buenamigo's new Texas class ships, which he basically wants to take over from the California class. And this is kind of not going down too well with Freeman and crew. Meanwhile, we've got Mariner doing a bit of Indiana Jones tomb raiding, courtesy of her new friend from the Archaeologists Guild. She's swinging through vines and running out of temples, carrying idols, which look suspiciously like the idol at the start of Raiders of the Lost Ark that Indiana Jones was running out of the temple with, except this is kind of a Klingon version of the same kind of thing, being pursued by some Ferengi, and it seems like Mariner's enjoying herself as part of the Archaeologists Guild. And as Admiral Buenamigo pretty much wants to scrap the whole California class fleet, in preference to these new Texas class ships which can do everything automated, it becomes a bit of a race, a bit of a competition between the California class and the Texas class, with the Cerritos going up against the Bilodeau as to seeing who can do the second contact duties quicker. And it turns out that it seems like the Texas class has got a little bit quicker response time, but they kind of skipped a few things that Cerritos stayed behind to kind of check out on some life forms, make sure they weren't breaking any first contact situations there with mucking around with planets that had sentient life on them. And the Texas class kind of skipped over that process a bit, so kind of got a way out for Freeman. However, the big mystery that was kind of talked about in this episode was the fact that Rutherford was going over the code for the Texas class and something wasn't right for him. There was some familiarity there with him. And obviously in that hark back to that previous episode we had this season where we had Rutherford in his younger self, when he had the memories going on there, he was programming that racing ship. It would appear like our mystery silhouetted figure that had put the implant on Rutherford was none other than Admiral Buenamigo, who basically stole his AI code, used it for the Texas class ships. But there's some big problems in this because obviously the Texas class ships now have code inbuilt into them, which is kind of the same kind of radical code that didn't work out too well in the form of Badgie. We all remember Rutherford's Badgie holodeck program. It was a bit psycho, a bit nutcase, and it would appear that these Texas class ships, once they're unlocked from Buenamigo to take out the Cerritos because they found out a bit too much, they go rogue and they start wiping out the station, attacking the station. We've got the whole space dock being shot at by multiple Texas class ships. And of course, the Cerritos has to find some pretty snazzy plans of action to come up with to foil these new drone ships, courtesy of our evil admiral friend. I love the scene in the early prep sort of moments of getting ready to go and so forth, where we had Ransom teaching everybody to do the swing the leg over the back of the chair maneuver, courtesy of Riker. He was always a big over the back of the chair leg swinger from time back, and it appears like yeah, that was kind of cool. That was funny. I did laugh at seeing Ransom teaching everybody how to swing the leg over the back of the chair. That was funny. The Bilodeau graphics I noticed on the control panel that Admiral Buenamigo was working with, very similar to a lot of the AI computers that we saw back in original series. All those kind of computers that were programming stuff and everything, they kind of always had these kind of coloured strips that were sort of rainbow coloured, and they'd flash flash on and off. Whenever they dealt with these AI computers or whatever that was having to do certain things, they will always have these sort of lines of colour in them, and it looks like they replicated this kind of visual style for our Texas class ships here. So a bit of a callback to original series. We also found out that one of the people funding the Independent Archaeologists Guild is none other than Admiral Picard. So he's obviously got a bit of money squirreled aside from maybe selling a few bottles of wine here and there to put a bit of funding behind the Archaeologists Guild. So that was a cool little finding out of information in terms of who perhaps throws a bit of money behind these independent contractors and so forth. And I've got to say, the battle sequence in this episode with all of the Texas class drones attacking the space dock, we had the Cerritos, and then we had also a Sovereign class come in there trying to foil them, but then having to bait them away from the station at warp to try to send them away to stop them from attacking the station. We had some pretty cool battle sequences in this episode, and I don't think it disappointed at all in terms of being an exciting last episode of the season. And no one more would agree with it being an exciting last episode of the season apart from our Lieutenant Shax, who has been dying to eject the warp core for the last 3 seasons, and he finally got his chance to eject the warp core finally. He's been asking to do it every time they come into strife on the bridge, and finally it actually was a piece of useful advice. So they managed to eject the warp core, blowing up several of the Texas class ships, but not before just the one Bilodeau survived. But that's okay because Mariner had called in a bit of help from all of the different fleet of second contact ships, and all of the California class ships arrived to help the Cerritos in taking out our last of the Texas class ship. So that was a nice, exciting conclusion to the season. We didn't get any legacy character cameos. I thought maybe we might have got someone rushing in to aid them, like for example the Sovereign class that came in to lend a hand at the station when they were being attacked by the drones there. I thought we might have got a little bit of a cameo there, but no cameos in this episode. That's okay. It was exciting. It was a cool episode. Plenty of exciting sequences and everything, and I'm glad we finally got a resolution to Rutherford's implant mystery. That was very good to see. At the end, we get a new crew member, the Vulcan T'Lyn, who we saw back in that previous episode where we jumped around between the 3 different crews. I think we had a Klingon crew and a Vulcan crew and a Starfleet crew, and I think it was even a Pakled crew or something, where we were jumping around between different ships and seeing about what they were getting up to in their adventures and everything. And T'Lyn, well, I believe was the Vulcan from the Vulcan crew that we saw in that episode. So it appears like our Vulcan T'Lyn is coming to join the Cerritos. So that should be an interesting addition to season 4. And it's good to see Mariner reinstated in her position. She enjoyed her tomb raiding and being Indiana Jones, but I think obviously her heart was with the Cerritos. So it's good to see her back to the family again on that ship. And for those of you who didn't stay until the end of the credits, there was in fact a post-credits scene in this episode. I was hovering my finger over the stop button, but I thought, no, well, I'll watch it to the end of the credits, and I'm glad I did, because we had the post-credits scene in the same location that we had that previous episode this season with Peanut Hamper. You might remember in my review of that episode, the Peanut Hamper episode, where we saw floating through space Rutherford's implant that got ripped out of his face during that season 1 finale episode. We saw it drifting through space amidst the other wreckage when Peanut Hamper was there. And we see our implant again, this time come to life, and we see the image of Badgie in Rutherford's torn out implant. So it would seem Badgie is alive and well, and he is stored himself within Rutherford's implant, and it has been tractor beamed on board another vessel of some kind. So it would appear that Badgie is alive, and clearly he will be resurrected in a 4th season episode. So yeah, if you happen to press stop a bit early, go back and check out the post-credits scene in that final episode. All in all, I think this was a really good last episode of the season episode. We had some mysteries solved, we had some exciting action, we had some teasing moments for what we might be getting for next season, so that's kind of cool as well. We obviously didn't get the legacy character cameo. That's okay. We can save that to next time. All in all, guys, let me know what your thoughts were on this episode. Leave a thought in the comments section. Let me know what your impressions were of not only this final episode of season, but all of season 3. How did you enjoy the whole season? Let me know, and we'll get chatting about that. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Also, leave a super thanks if you're able to. Really helps the channel out. Much appreciated. Otherwise, check out my merch in the merch shop. Heaps, so many t-shirts in the merch store. Plenty of new designs. Every week I'm throwing new designs into the store. So if you haven't been there for a while, check out all my merch and pick yourself up something for, bargain price and help support the channel as well. Much appreciated. I'll catch you guys soon for my next video. I'll see you then.